Okay, so in the last video I showed you how to create a basic page, something that looked like this. Now we're going to start to get a little bit more in depth and look at what's happening in the background. So in Dreamweaver you can see that I've been typing straight into my design view. I can also view in my code view, and this is where I can see what Dreamweaver's actually been creating in the background while I've been typing all of this. So just to sort of explain a little bit of what's going on, because this is, you know, it's a really basic website. I might just go back and call that my first page. There we go. But you can see that it's got all sort of the main sections that I would expect, apart from adding links and images, which we'll go through at a later stage. So here at the top in this first section, it's telling me the type of document it is, and it's saying it's an HTML document. But it's also any of the newer ones are going to be designed for XHTML, which is the new standard. So just be aware that if you're wanting to work with XHTML, it's a little bit different from, say, HTML4. The biggest difference is that everything needs to be closed off. So you can see here I've got different tags. So my tag is something like HTML head, my head tag, which is what contains that title of the document, and any metadata, which is basically what search engines use to search for your website and bring it up. You know, if someone looks through Google, tries to put in keywords, you can list those keywords in here, and different browsers will, different search engines will go and find those keywords and use them to bring up their lists, basically. Title, which is here, so opening tag and a closing tag. So you can see with any of those tags, I have an opening tag and a closing tag. The opening tag, it's basically got in brackets. Closing tag is the same, except that it's got forward slash in front of the text. So that's a basic difference. Old version of HTML, you could also sometimes get away without having a closing tag for some tags. For example, line break, you didn't need to have one. And you could but now with the new XHTML, everything needs to be closed off in some way. So you can see here with this meta tag, there's actually no closing meta tag. So what they've done instead is just added this little slash right at the end of that tag. So it's just one tag, but it's got that closing bit at the end to show that that tag's been closed off. Also, in the new version of HTML, you might see older web pages actually have all these tags in capitals. So my head tag would be in capitals, my body tag might be in capitals, and then the other little things inside those tags, like here we've got something which is called an attribute, which is basically just a property about that tag, would still be in lowercase. Now everything's in lowercase. So just be aware there the big differences between older versions of HTML. So if you're using an older book or you're going to an older website, there might be little differences between, say, HTML4 and XHTML. So it's really good to just keep on top of that. Both of them will still work, but it's always really good to actually learn the newest kind of formats that are going around. So there you go. So that's what your code looks like. We can work in code view, we can work in split view, which is both code and design view. So there's a few different ways we can work. Last thing which I'll mention, and then I'll get into some file directory conventions and adding some links next in the next video. Just be aware with your HTML page, and again I'm going to save that. You can call it .html or .htm, and that stands for hypertext markup language. Either are acceptable, but it's just a good idea that you keep them the same throughout your whole site. So if you started off calling one page HTML, keep all of your pages HTML. It just makes everything nice and neat. So hypertext markup language, that's the way we know that it's an HTML page, is because it's got that little file suffix on the end. This is a little bit of the code. So it tells me that we're working with XHTML. The head is all that stuff that includes the title at the top of the document, anything that search engines want to look for. Body is where all that stuff in here is. And then HTML and closing HTML tells me that that's where all the HTML goes. So anything outside of that area is just, might be things like comments or telling it the type of document, or might also have little bits to do with scripting or loading files. So anything within the HTML tags is going to be HTML. Anything within the body is going to be in that main window there. And anything in the head is going to be up the top, or stuff that search engines and other kind of things use to look for your site, or just kind of metadata, which is just data about data. So that's sort of how you start to get to know what's going on in your website.